Now, former Swedish Prime Minister Carl Bildt joins us. He's currently co-chair of the European Council on Foreign Relations, and I want to welcome you to the program. So just give it to us straight. What do you believe were Russia's intentions about hitting this deep into Polish territory?
Well, I think the intention was to attack Ukraine. I mean, it was part of a rather massive attack with close to 400 drones, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles. I mean, they've really been stepping up during the last few weeks. And then this particular cruise missile, a heavy cruise missile, air-launched one, evidently went astray. And when you have these sort of massive attacks with hundreds and hundreds of missiles going into Ukraine airspace, then sometimes these things happen. I don't think it was aimed at Poland, but it's unavoidable with these massive attacks that it will have consequences beyond the borders of Ukraine.
So you do not believe this warrants any kind of a reaction from NATO, from Poland, from the United States?
I think it was part of the massive attack against Ukraine. And I think it's fairly obvious that Mr. Putin is under pressure. He's under pressure inside Russia because the war is not going particularly well. He's stepping up pressure on Ukraine. He knows that there are shortages of air defense assets in Ukraine. And accordingly, he's stepping up production of cruise missiles, production of ballistic missiles, and trying to hammer Ukraine. This was part, I think, of a fairly large strike against the Ukrainian city of Lviv in the vicinity of the Polish border. They're also attacking heavily the ports of Odessa to stop the Ukrainian grain exports. So it underlines the need to give support to the air defense of Ukraine. That's the only way of de facto defending also Poland and other countries.
Given that we have heard so much, even from the United States, given the Iran conflict, on the shortage of those, defense ordnance, do you believe that Europe, the United States, has the capacity for this right now? Because Russia's obviously testing and probing and making a point of this.
Well, it's a question of priorities. And clearly from the European perspective, the priority is to defend Ukraine. Because the defense of Ukraine today is the defense of Europe tomorrow, or even defense today, as we've seen in this particular case with Poland. Then the United States has its own war of choice that consumes a lot of ordnance. As a matter of fact, far more air defense ordnance than has been given or sold to Ukraine. I mean, that's not a priority that we Europeans find particularly appealing, to put it very mildly, but that's where we are.
That's where we are. It is a sobering account of where we are. Where do you think this goes next, though? Because even if Ukraine has done a good job right now of not just winning on the battlefield, but perhaps, turning the tide a bit on the opinion of the U.S. president, where does all of this go? Winter is not that far away, and we just gave the civilian body count now, the worst since 2022.
Yeah. No, I think, as said, Mr. Putin is in a fairly bad mood. He wants to believe what the military is saying, or what the military leadership is saying to him, that he can make further progress during the autumn. He will do it utmost. It might be mobilization in order to achieve that. But in the meantime, he's using all of the assets as he had to hammer Ukraine with these hundreds and hundreds of drones and cruise missiles against some military targets, no doubt, but I mean civilian targets. I mean, there was a family killed today, and hurting the economy, and believing that in this way he can defeat Ukraine. I don't think he will succeed, but I mean, the human cost of it is staggering, and the cynicism of it is appalling. And I think we Europeans at least have a duty to do whatever we can to support Ukraine, because it is, at the end of the day, it's our defense as well.
I was going to say, it's not just supporting Ukraine, right? The defense architecture in Europe has been completely transformed and will continue to be so in the coming years because of this conflict. Carl Bildt, always good to have you on the program. Appreciate it.